I made a surprise gift for my wife for Mother's Day. It's not really a Mother's Day gift, but it's just the timing of it. Somebody in the family is forgetful at turning off the hydrant, so I'm gonna attempt to solve that. You know, as the saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Well, the attempt is to make it so they don't forget to turn it off. The idea is to put this around your neck as a necklace to remind yourself when you're, you know, if you're in the house or whatever, and it's like, oh, I have a big block of, well, looky here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's water in there. Who would have thunk? As I suspected, this was dripping. The plastic piece that connects to the 2-inch IBC tote, the threads are starting to get worn a bit, so that's going to need to be a replacement item at some point. But I tightened it up and it's good now, I think. So irrigation pump is officially fixed. So winning. Alright, I got a small little project here. I'm going to take these 2 barrels that we cut out. Previously used them for feeding some breeder pigs when we were in the business of breeding pigs. So we've got holes here in the top, and then the entire front was cut out so that the pigs could get in. The idea was that, you know, having an individual feeder for each of the large pigs, they wouldn't end up fighting over food as much. They work pretty well, but we've moved on, so I'm going to repurpose these into a compost bin. So far we've just been throwing it out in a pile outside of our house. We find that it attracts unwanted animals, so we are going to take 2 barrels and turn them into 1 compost bin. Should be a pretty quick project. Let's get started. pretty good. Now I'm just gonna put hinges on it and latches, and we'll start testing it out. Alright, we have a working hinge. Onto the latch. I'm calling it good. But it was not a quick project like I had hoped.
Hi, bud. There's the food. Okay. Chickens, you already had enough food. You guys are beggars. Hi, chickens. Stay back, Archer. Bucky!
Putting a string in the end of the ramp to hold it up. removing the coop, which is what we're currently attempting to do. We move the coop so that the manure doesn't build up in one location, and we can have a positive impact on more land base and move the layers around to impact different areas of the farm. Like, you know, a pastured flock, free range flock model is the idea.
And even though they're free ranging and distributing their manure throughout the whole area, a lot of it still becomes concentrated under the coop from when they're sleeping. This is the area where the coop was. So we'll come through and rake it out a bit. Grass will start growing again. It'll be fine.
Squeaky squeak.
Are you helping Daddy?
I don't think it's coming up.
Whoa, look at the asparagus, Archer. This is today's asparagus harvest. What do you think? Can you put it in the basket? Good job. Thank you. Here's our tomato plants, some pepper plants, some lettuce and some leeks, and some weeds. Working on it though. Since I don't need to maximize growing space right now, since we're doing this at a homestead scale rather than commercial scale, I am covering up any bare areas with grass clippings to help keep the weeds down. Previous years, I've been more focused on getting something growing in every possible square inch. And this is my garlic harvest, which looks like it's doing pretty well. And then I also have strawberries planted in this tunnel, which I have struggled with growing strawberries in my tunnels. I'm still figuring it out, but it's looking like another dud year this year. I think what my problem is I don't get enough moisture into the ground over the winter, and they get too dry, and then they don't blossom enough in the spring. But the garlic is doing really well. These are some strawberries that I have planted outside, and they look amazing. Not ripe yet, but there are a ton of berries coming on. So it's a bummer that my strawberries in the tunnel don't look the same. I'm gonna get ya! I'm gonna get ya! Got you! Got you! Ah! Where's Bucky? Yeah, he's all the way up there.
Go get you. Go get you.
Alright, this is our old compost area. It's seen better days, but underneath this building here, we suspect that's where the rats live, if not in the compost itself. And it attracts raccoons and other species that scavenge and such, and we're pretty sure a lot of it feeds the cat, our barn cat. So we're going to get this cleaned up, and we're going to transition over to our new compost barrel and start learning that process and see how that works. So I'm going to start by taking this apart, and then I'll come over with the tractor and scoop out all the compost and add it to our larger compost pile over by the garden. Got some pretty good looking compost in here, despite this being not our primary composting location. So yeah, let's get this get these pallets cleaned up, and then we'll move some compost. Just a quick update on the cows. This one here is the one that we think is going to be due next. We had her on the calendar with the due date of about 5 days ago, but yeah, she's getting very close, so keeping an eye on her. And then I think her younger sister is going to be a little bit after her. They're doing well on all this spring growth. All right, all cleaned up. think this is how we're going to leave it for now. Yeah, it's a proof of concept build is what this is. If we like it, it would be good to be able to put this barrel on a stand and empty it directly into a wheelbarrow or a bucket or something like that. So we'll start loading it up with kitchen scraps and some brown material and see if we can make some compost. The nice thing about leaving it here on the ground for a prototype is to stir it and mix it up. All we got to do is roll it around in the ground on the grass. So we'll see how it goes. So we're now 8 days past the date that I had on the calendar for this girl, and I'm seeing all the signs that I want to see that make me think she is about to have a bull calf. Bull is my guess, just because she's late, in the next day or two. So let's see if I'm right. And the signs I was looking for, she is extremely loose now in her backside. Her teats are now filled with milk, as well as her udder, and she's starting to look a little sunk in right in this area here on both sides. So that tells me the calf that's in there is getting ready to get in position. So I suspect, like previous birthings, she is going to give birth somewhere here in these woods. Unless she doesn't get the privacy that she wants, then she might go down to the barn, but I bet it'll be up here. Either that or maybe along the woods back there at the other end of the pasture. But that seems to be where they like to do it. So we'll see if it happens. I'm thinking before the end of this weekend. To the neighbor's fence, so that makes it a lot easier, because going directly into it is the hard part, because everything's trying to come at you. I was fighting a lot of multiflora rows and such, but we're in, so now I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but the old farm fence from my field is kind of like laying over halfway, so it's fun to step on, and then helping clear my neighbor's fence just to prevent it from creeping over into mine for as long as I can while I'm at it, pulling stuff out through his wires. It makes it a lot easier now that I'm in. I can see where the fences are and go along it instead of trying to go into it. Makes it a good bit quicker. This is a bit of a jungle here behind me, because a couple years ago I went through and cleared all the trees, but I wasn't at a point yet where I was ready to install fencing. I left the stumps, which is the real screw up on my part. If I had pulled the stumps out, I would be able to get in here and brush hog till my heart's content, but not with stumps here. But yeah, I got about 15 feet or so done, 500 feet total to do, so it'll be a project. Trying to burn it as I go. If I can get that fire hot enough, I can throw green wet stuff right on top, and it'll keep burning. So All right, with fires going good, a lot of that green stuff is actually sassafras. Sassafras has a natural oil to it that allows it to burn pretty well when it's still green, so that helps a lot, being able to burn it not only green, but it is wet since it just rained last evening. Gonna throw a little bit more on and take a break.
Where's your Bucky? Where's your chickens? Are they coming to see you? Come on, let's go feed them. Look at all your chickens, Archer. Come on, let's go give them some food. Don't you want to give them breakfast? You guys are growing well, Mr. Roo.
All right, I got another 20 to 40 feet done, about doubled the size of how much I cleared from the last time I was taking video. Somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 60 feet or so has been mostly cleared at this point. I'm gonna come back and do the stumps later. It's a brutal amount of work, but every time I come out here I'm trying to do like 20 feet or so at a time, which I can judge based on my neighbor's fence posts. They're, you know, roughly 20 feet apart, you know, based on measurements from when I was over there putting in my own fence post. But moving along, this is going to be quite a large undertaking to get all this brush cleared out, so it'll definitely take a couple months. Try to do 20 feet here, 40 feet there whenever I have the time. But that's gonna do it for this weekend's videos of what's happening on the farm. So thanks for watching.